What's up, guys? It's Elena Hoffman here with Pro Stock Mania continues.
Right, that's right. Pro Stock Mania continues.
Yes.
So we're making another video. My daughter wanted to make a video with me, so I said, let's do it. You know, check this out. This is kind of, I got to give a lot of shout outs in this episode. I'm not really naming the episodes numerically unless I'm going to do something on that motor, the 409, because I've gotten into so much other things going on, especially with Pro Stock stuff, you know, the axles and the work that I'm doing on the Cougar. But let me give you a little insight on what I got going on. Check this out. These are all the heads I got within the last couple weeks. And here's what happened. On my YouTube, if you've been keeping track and following me, I hope you are and you're paying attention to this, I got a contact on one of the comments from a guy named Kyle Murdoch, who lives here in Ohio. Great guy. And I'll show you a couple of pictures of his tunnel ram Cleveland he races in a Fox body Mustang with a 5-speed, I think it is. Thing runs in the 980s. It's pretty bad. Engineered well. He works, he's an engineer. I'm not sure if it's for one of the car companies, but here's the scoop. So just so you know, if I didn't introduce her, this is Elena Halstead. She said her name, but she might not have said it loud enough because she's a little shy. But Kyle got a hold of me on the comments on YouTube and said, hey, I got these Pro Stock parts you might be interested in. And I said, hey, I'm always interested in parts. So I hooked up with him and he sent me some pictures of them and they're kind of unique. And he made me an offer I couldn't refuse, so I had to pick them up. So I picked up 3 sets of heads from him, these 3 right here, with the original Hank the Crank oiling system, which I'll show you some pictures of. But here's what I got. I got a set of A3 heads. You know I like to collect those. So I got a set of these, and some of the combustion chambers have had some welding on them because they were going to do a port job on it, but then they stopped. I'm not sure the whole story. I forgot all the details. But they came from a guy that had collected parts and was going to modify them, but then he ended up dying is kind of the story. But these are early A3 heads, same things I'm running on the 409. Now these are a set of high port Clevelands. You know, I just started collecting them. I started collecting Barry Grant stuff and fuel pumps, and now I kind of stopped that, and now I'm into cylinder heads. And these are original set of Pro Stock high port Cleveland 4-barrel heads. The thing about them is they're all ready to go fresh. They've been in a bag with like machine oil for 30 plus years. I like that smell. Do you smell that machine oil? But it kind of fills up the garage. It reminds me of Roadie's shop or any machine shop. When you walk in, it has that smell. But these are nice looking high ports. They're all fresh. They've been bagged for 30 years, and that was part of the deal. The other thing is this. Let me show you. This is the original Hank the Crank oiling system, which I think it did like priority oiling for 1, 2, and 3 mains, or 2, 3, and 4. I don't know what it was. Show the camera that, Elena. Okay. And it came with that went into the valley, into oil galleries, and this went through the block, into the back of the block, and then one went into the send unit, and then one went into the hose, and it had an adapter that went to the oil pump that a big number 12 AN fitting went to. So it was pumping oil directly right there, right to the mains. So that's kind of unique. I've seen them in books. Pat Cannell has the Ford Performance book. I've seen them in there. So you just can't beat it. I love these old Pro Stock parts. So we got the A3 heads, we got the Iron 4Vs, and then what I got here is a set of C3 heads. Now these are from, I want to say, 84, if I'm not mistaken. Here's the part that's kind of unique. Look at the exhaust ports. Here's the Cleveland 4V that had the high port. Now look at the Yates style exhaust port. Almost the same configuration. Oops, sorry, Elena. You can touch that's oil on there. So it's kind of crazy how this is mid 70s and now these are in the 80s and they went to that port style. Now here's another unique thing about these heads. They were some engineers had or some race team or something because they have a lot of work done into them. And I'll try to show pictures with a close-up on the side of this video. But the ports themselves, instead of looking like a Cleveland, if you know what the Cleveland port looks like, if you remember, you know, you can kind of see this here, how it comes to an angle where the spark plug is. See, this is all rounded out here. They welded all this in to almost make it like a newer style high performance swirl type combustion chamber. You can see here, they welded all this in because this I think was like the A3 head here, where it's flat, right across here. Here they welded in and raised it up. So these are way ahead of their time. And all the intake ports are all welded all around the valve guide. There's hardly any valve guide right here because they raise the port this way to bring it straighter. It's amazing the amount of hours are in these heads. I just, these two here. So now we'll move on to the latest score that I got. And these are from Jimmy Huff right here. These were on the website on Facebook and they were C302 heads. That's what it said. And I want to tell you, we'll give a shout out to Jimmy Huff. He's a great guy. Him and I have been selling parts to each other. And I want to say rest in peace to his father. They call him the old man. He died tragically a couple weeks ago. So we want to give him a shout out. Keep him in your prayers for him and his family. That's tough when you lose somebody like that. So we're thinking of you, Jimmy Huff. Back to these heads. So we had them posted on Facebook listed as C302 heads. You know, and nobody was really interested in them. And I saw him, and I have a buddy named Blake Livingston. You've heard me talk about him before. That's Livingston with an E. And he said, hey, you got those pictures of those heads? And I said, yeah, I do. And I sent them to him, and he started looking them over, because he likes to collect Ford heads too. And he says, you know what those are? I said, no. He said, those are C302B heads. I said, well, they don't say B on it. It says C302. He said, no, those are B heads. And here's how you know, and this is a key thing, because these were the last of the Cleveland-style valve arrangement, valve angles, if I'm not mistaken. C302Bs. I had a brand new set back in the 90s, and I ended up trading them for my first set of A3s to Coy Atkins. If you're watching this, Coy, I actually had found the receipt from like 90-something. It could have been like 97 or something like that. These being C302Bs, they were called Too Hot for NASCAR. Now, my buddy said that Jay Cushman said they kind of use that as a marketing type thing because they went to the Yates right after that, so they had a lot of these left over, or whatever the story is. But here's the bottom line. This is the difference between a C302B and the other aluminum heads that you see. A3, C3, B351 is this. First of all the exhaust studs are the same length. On every other head, they're always one shorter. And that's a key thing. That was one thing I looked for. The other thing that's really important, and here is a key point player right here, is this valve cover rail. You can see it right here. What you don't see here is there's hardly any edge here. They raised these up 200 thousandths so that you could increase the port height and port them, as you've seen so many people do with any cylinder head. A lot of the pro stock Clevelands, they had brazed in up in here so they could raise the port. Well, these are already raised. So you've got this here that allows you to port more direct. The other thing is the rocker pad. You see here, it's almost the same distance as here. They made it shorter and more integral so it's stronger. You're not getting that stud flex. Like these have quite a bit of a pedestal here. The same with these here. So that's unique right there. The other thing is they basically eliminated the push rod pitch. There isn't one in here. It's straight across. On the A3 heads, you can see it quite a bit. And Morgan had machined a tube through there to move the port over. And these are already kind of moved over. And they have a port job on them that looks pretty good. They're all complete. So let's keep going on the differences. They also have a thicker deck through here for strength. The other difference between the C302B heads and any of the other heads prior to that is the height from the deck to the valve cover rail. On all these heads here, let's see, here's one here. Let's measure it. They all measure 3 3/4 of an inch from here to here, if you can see that. A3s are the same thing. 3 3/4 of an inch. The difference between the C302B head, it's a 1/4 inch thicker, or taller, we'll say. They measure 4 inch. That's the secret. And I'll put down a picture so that you can see that. That's one of the unique things of raising the port and making the deck even thicker and the height taller for the port to allow for better flow. The port itself has this shaped combustion chamber already that was indicative of like the Yates tile stud combustion chamber, and they didn't do it. They did it here too. You can see on this C3. Like I said, here they already have it already incorporated. And this is an 88 head. So this is 84. 4 years later, the heads are getting to this point. The other thing that you can look for on these heads is, I want to say it's this side. Nope, it's right here. I don't want to drop this on you. Is they reinforce this area. right here for the water outlet. Get you a better look at them. There's the exhaust port. Can't really see in there because it's a little dark. Same thing there. I'll show some pictures of it. So those are the C302B heads. Now here's what I'm going to do. I think I'm switching my plans. Like I said, things change in this whole situation. They're dynamic. And I've been talking to Darren Morgan, and I was going to run those Blue Thunders. I think I'm going to switch. I think I'm going to build this DragBoss big bore short stroke with these C302B heads. He told me back in the 90s, I think 90 something, he was making 881 horsepower. I want to say 8,800 for an A and B dragster, which is a class, which they said no one could beat them. And that was in the 90s. So he said he can tune these up. I said, well, I don't need to make 900 horsepower. I only want to make 850 on the DragBoss. That's my goal. After that, then it's just messing around with these other mills, the Pro Stock mill and that. Yeah. Yeah, you can get something to drink. Hold right. Then I have that other 68 Cleveland block. Now those two are actually sitting on a pallet over there, trying to figure out how to secure them well enough and cover them. And they're going to be shipped to Tim Meyer, like you saw in the last video. So stay tuned for that. You know, I got a lot of builds going on, and I don't want to get behind and not go anywhere. So I'm trying to do a little of everything at the same time. I want to give a couple shout outs, and here's the deal. I got this from Daniel Wilson. Now, I've known him a long time from the Ford forum, the 351cleveland.net forum, and him and I have talked here and there, and he's got a set of high ports, and he's building a Cleveland stroker motor. He's been collecting parts for that. But he sent me this, and it really makes me smile when I see it. But it's an original set of Ford Motorsport valve cover bolts. Still in the original package. You know, I like to collect stuff like that. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to show him that. I'm going to use that on one of my builds. Got to. I'm going to have to open up that package and take it out. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Daniel Wilson. The other shout out I want to give is to JJ for Melbourne, Australia. And I'm going to make another separate video just to focus on some of the stuff that he sent me. He told me he's my biggest fan in Australia, and that really makes me smile. And he wanted to talk to Elena and Izzy. I think they're going to talk this weekend, exchange some pics, because it's pretty cool. He's been into Cleveland since he was 2 years old. He's 9 now. So I'll show you some pics involved with that. And I want to get these girls doing stuff. Elena helped me with the axles. We did some filming of that. The spacers for the studs. So I want them to learn and grow. Get into racing and engines. And maybe some hands-on and putting that engine together with me, the 409 Cleveland. You're going to help me with that, aren't you, Elena?
Yeah.
What makes an engine go fast?
Heads.
Heads. There you go. You're right. You hear Dad talking all the time. Heads in the cam are the brains and where the airflow comes in and out of. You know, all the other parts help too, but those are the big guys right there. Head and cams, right? Cool. So we want to tell you thanks for subscribing. You know, I appreciate Kyle for hooking up all these cylinder heads, and I don't know much about the Hank the Crank system. If it's worthwhile putting in, it's kind of be unique because it's period, you know, of the Pro Stock times. But to see the technology that went into these Clevelands in the Pro Stock era, it seems like everything that I've done with the Pro Stock stuff goes wild on the videos. Some of my own stuff is not as popular, and that's okay. But I want to kind of focus on the Pro Stock too, because there's not a lot of people doing it. It's dying. You know, the only person I know that really races high port heads is Jimmy Huff. I mean, he's got like, I don't know, at least 20 pair of them. It's crazy. He showed me some pictures of that stuff. So Jimmy, stay tuned. That UR19, that brand new UR19 and that tunnel ram, YN tunnel ram are coming your way. Got to get those boxed up. And so subscribe and share and like and stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.